If you run fast, you might score fast. If you throw fast, you might catch fast. If you read fast, you might tackle fast. If NC State can start fast, they might win fast.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Our Tuesday show is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase today. That might come in handy if you're headed to Durham on Saturday. Terms, as always, apply. Happy Tuesday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Kenton, as we typically do on our Tuesday show, we're going to lead off with one of our bigger concerns from the week before. And unfortunately, this has been a lingering concern, not just from the Wake Forest game, but I'd say the Virginia game and parts of the ECU game as well. NC State has not exactly been able to start these games fast. They've not been able to take control of a lead or hold a lead. And in 2 out of 3 of these games, they've actually been playing from behind almost immediately. UVA came out on their opening drive, punched us in the mouth. Actually, a broken tackle punched us in the mouth. They took it 39 yards to the house. Wake Forest put up 7 points before many people had even sat down on Thursday evening, running back the opening kickoff. NC State this season, as many defensive struggles as we've seen so far, the overall formula there, you can't continually play from behind in all your schedule, especially once the competition gets ratcheted up. And again, that will happen on Saturday against Duke. NC State's got to find a way to start fast. Potentially, you could take teams out of the game before it even begins.
Absolutely. And the reality is, had we not had the play where we refused to call a timeout and ECU was going fast, that team is taken out of the game.
Exactly.
At that point, they were down, 17-0?
17-0.
Ready to give up. They were right there on the brink of giving up. If you call a timeout there, they had not driven the field the entire game. What confidence was there to speak of? People talk about momentum. I don't believe in momentum. What I do believe in is confidence. I believe when the team gets confident enough, you hit enough plays, you start thinking, we can do whatever. And you start feeling comfortable. You start getting relaxed, and you start knowing this is just another day at the office, instead of thinking, oh my God, what are we going to do with these dudes? And the reality is, NC State had ECU in that position and let them off the hook. These other 2 games, you're looking at a situation where, I mean, you got the fight brought to you. You got the fight brought to you, and then you had to, get back on your feet and rebut. And I know some people are going to say, well, Ken, these teams are starting with the ball first. Are you expecting the defense to get first drive stops every time? You had a 4th and 1 against UVA. Yes, I expect you to get off the field. Yeah. Sorry to tell you, I expect that. Against Wake Forest, I expect you to cover the opening kickoff. I expect that. I don't think that's a ridiculous ask for those 2 things. So I look at these things and I say to myself, the biggest thing that I'm seeing is, hey, you have to get off to faster starts, because there will not always be more time to play catch up. There will not always be more time to say, hey, we'll be all right. We'll figure it out. We'll just keep being steady and all that. And Duke is a second half team. They have shown that in almost every game this year. Actually, no, in every game this year. That Duke has not had a single game yet where they've scored more points in the first half than the second. Be it their money games where they had to pay Elon to come get their heads beat in, or be it against Illinois, where Illinois came on down and said, hey, this is just, nobody's paying anybody. This is square P4 against P4 talk. They scored more in the second half in that game as well. So I'm not saying that, Duke is world beaters and there's nothing you can do with them if you let them get a lead. What I am saying is, statistically, it bears out they are exponentially better in the second half than they are in the first. If you decide to sleepwalk and let Duke punch you in the mouth, I don't think you're getting back up off that mat with the same proficiency that you did against these other teams. And even for all of Duke's struggles, they're the best defense we've seen all season.
Yeah, very well said. And I'm glad you mentioned that one play against ECU where we should have called a timeout, but instead it went for 79 yards. We had ECU on the mat. Like, they already looked defeated, even though it was the first half. And immediately jumping up 17-0, ECU had not moved the ball like virtually at all up until that point. And then you let up just for a moment, a quick lapse of judgment, and ECU's right back in the game. UVA, Kenton already touched on the 4th-and-1 run. UVA scored on their first 2 drives of the game, like quick, fast, and pretty easy for them. And at that point, that was our first taste of like, what is this NC State defense going to do today? And so we got a little nervous there. And then, of course, Wake Forest, they take back the opening kickoff, and they score on their first offensive drive of the night. Same thing. We're like, oh, my God, are we doing this? Are we doing this on Thursday night at Wake Forest? Found out a way to come back. But I got to tell you this, and this is not going to be a hot take to anyone. Once you play teams better than UVA or better than Wake Forest, that becomes a much steeper hill to climb. If you get down 14 points to Duke on the road, that's a lot bigger of an ask because, to Kenton's point, they do have the best defense that we will see up until this point. And yeah, Duke has given some major opportunities away. I wouldn't let the Illinois score fool you. That was a game that was a lot closer than 45-19. In fact, Duke was only down 1 going into halftime, but Duke committed 5 turnovers, and that's how that game got away from them. Kenton said it extremely well that Duke has really turned it on in the second half. So then think about it this way. What if NC State comes out on fire in the first half and it's Duke that has to play catch up? Don't let Duke come out and set the tone early because NC State, we have some struggles on tape that might pose to be bigger problems if we're already playing from behind.
And I want to make one small correction. Duke outscored their second half score in the Illinois game, and that was it. But even in the Illinois game, they moved the ball well in the second half. They just could not stop turning the ball over. Yep. And if you take away, including the Illinois game, their first half score to their second half score is 32-59, including the Illinois game. That's what it is. So they're nearly doubling in terms of what they're putting up in the second half to the first half, including their game against Illinois, where they outscored themselves in the first half to second. Subtracting the Illinois game, it is 19-53. That is nearly 3 times the amount of points scored in the second half to the first. You cannot. This is a team, I will give them this. They will fight until the last snap. You will not be able to put this team down. The same way that I said ECU was on the brink of giving up and giving in, I don't think this Duke team has that same give up, give in, and quit in them. And you're going to have to put them down, hold them down, and keep them down to win that football game handily. However, against some other teams this year, if we would have done what we were supposed to do early, they would have quit. They would have quit. You saw what happened with Wake Forest. Once we took the lead and made it, all right, this is our game now. Y'all are stuck on the field with us. That Wake Forest team hit their best Roberto Duran impression. No mas. No mas. We are good. I'm all right. And yet we get off the slow starts, give these teams a chance, and then it takes longer to get to that no mas point. It takes longer for them to get to that tap out point. This Duke team, you have to start fast and keep your foot on that gas.
And while we talked about for our big picture takeaways that it's an overwhelmingly positive thing that NC State has found a way to make comebacks and dig deep, and especially trailing at halftime, coming out of the second half looking extremely good, again, chipping away at that lead to take it back. But imagine a world where you don't have to do that. Imagine a world where you are in control for all 4 quarters. Imagine what that would do for the confidence of this football team, going on the road against Duke and controlling this game for all 4 quarters. They'd probably feel invincible if that were the case. So this is a game in particular, more so than the other 3. You have got to come out on the road and put your foot on their neck almost immediately. I think, we'll get into Kenton's keys later in the week. NC State should probably aim to score at least 10 points in the first quarter. I'm so serious about this. If you can take Duke out of the game early, you already know the whole crowd's going to be wearing red. Use that to your advantage as well. Playing on the road and having majority of the crowd with an early lead, that is like the dream scenario. And it's on the table. NC State's got to find a way to come out on fire. The defense has got to find a way to bottle up the second half of Wake or the first half of ECU. For whatever reason, we can only play one half of decent defense. You got to figure out how to make it in the first half and then build upon that in the second half on Saturday. So NC State playing fast, that might just be the most important bullet point for this week heading into Durham. Coming up next, we're getting into a whole lot of nothing or a whole lot of something. This comes after a quick word from our sponsors. Our first Tuesday sponsor is PrizePicks, the daily fantasy sports app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I, we both make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right means you'll actually cash in. With football back, PrizePicks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. All you have to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes in under 60 seconds. It's quick, it's easy, and it's sure to be your new favorite way to follow along football all season long. You can check projections like Josh Allen for more or less than 270 passing yards, or Saquon Barkley for more or less 1 rushing touchdown. And the best part, even if one of your picks misses, with PrizePicks, there's the flex play, so you can still double your money. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 back in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege, 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 for $50 back in lineups after just your first $5 play. PrizePicks, because it's good to be right. Middle portion of our Tuesday show. Now time for a whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something. 3 topics. We'll tell you exactly where we stand on them. Defensive lineman Isaiah Shirley was the ACC Defensive Lineman of the Week last week for his performance at Wake Forest. Also was the highest graded defensive player in all of college football this past week. Number 1 in the country. Kind of funny, too, that he had the first opportunity of everyone else because we played on Thursday. Whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something.
Whole lot of something. At the end of the day, when we talk about a defense that has had their struggles, had their problems so far this season, guys stepping up and being dudes is how this defense gets better. Guys stepping up and leading this thing. You know, we've talked about who's going to be the leaders, who are going to be the guys that step up. Offensively, we've seen those guys repetitively. We've seen guys take massive leaps forward. If Shirley can continue this level of play, I think we'll be just fine in the future.
Most definitely a whole lot of something. I think this had to be the most impactful play of that entire game. Because if you think about it this way, it essentially canceled out their opening kick return for a touchdown. They went up 7, then they went up 14. We got Jolie in the end zone, but to immediately score right after that with a thick 6 from Isaiah Shirley, that grabbed the momentum and put it back in our pocket. And then you saw the Wolfpack get immensely confident with a play like that one. So well-deserved, the ACC Defensive Lineman of the Week, but to be the number 1 graded defensive player in the entire country, that's also pretty crazy. So shout out to Isaiah Shirley, well-deserved honor, and we're looking forward to seeing him build upon that as well heading into Duke this week. Second one here, running back Hollywood Smothers. Currently, as of Tuesday, he has the 6th most rushing yards in the country through 3 games, and he also has the 4th most carries in the entire country. Whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something.
Whole lot of something, but not for a good reason. Hear me out. Hollywood Smothers has been fantastic, but our offensive line has opened up some massive gaping holes. Now, why is that important? Hollywood Smothers is a guy that gives you a lot of yards overestimated. You know, he does that. Yards overestimate is, it's a metric that PFF uses to say, how many yards are you supposed to get on this run versus how many you get? Hollywood Smothers is elite at that. He's excellent. But he's also got a pretty good estimated yards or yards before contact. We need to get some of those touches to Duke Scott. Duke Scott is good enough to where if you give him those types of holes, he's going to take advantage. He's patient enough to do what he needs to do to make those holes open and then go make something special happen. I don't want to see Hollywood's usage be too through the roof. And I know some of y'all are going to say you're being too picky because last year was just get your playmakers the ball, and this year you're riding them a little too hard. There is a decent medium, right? It's like if you're talking to somebody and you say a couple times because they sound a little too quiet and their answer is to yell at you. There's a difference between whispering like the Yin Yang Twins in that one song and then screaming at people. There's a wide range of vocal tones between the two. We want to see Hollywood get the ball, and we want to see him get the ball a lot. However, I don't think that you need 25-plus touches per game in order to have him be effective. As a matter of fact, I think that down the stretch, that may cause him to wilt, as we have seen with other backs that were touching it 25 to 30 times a game in college. Because again, it's just not necessary. If we had a backfield that was devoid of talent for anybody not named Hollywood Smothers, I would understand. I would say, hey, I'm sorry. Speaking of the team we got coming up in Duke, there was a couple years ago where they had a back by the name of Mateo Durant. And let me tell you, he was that offense's first, their last, their everything. With him, hey, I'm tired of this, Grandpa. That's too dang bad. Get the ball and keep running, was what Cutcliffe would tell him. And I understand that because that offense was terrible. This offense is not only good in terms of throwing the ball, but the run blocking has been very good so far this year. So I think that needs to be, those touches need to be distributed a little bit better.
Yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from, and it is a little bit of a fine line because many of you heard us the entire offseason say, you got to get Hollywood the ball. He's one of our best players. How do you not play him in the third quarter of the bowl game? Like, what are we even doing? That's got to be your bell cow guy. However, there still needs to be like a slight acknowledgement of some load management, if you will. For example, I mean, this game's a couple weeks away, so it doesn't matter right now, but I think he should barely play against Campbell. There's just no reason to risk him getting injured in, I don't want to say meaningless. They're all meaningful, but you get what I'm saying there. For him to have the fourth most carries in the entire country is not something that I would have expected to be true after our first 3 games. Now, it's for good reason, and he's been extremely effective in doing so. So it's kind of a tough ask because it's like, how do you take it out of his hands? But Duke Scott has shown that he is more than capable. Bowling through a couple Wake Forest defenders the other night, he can shoulder some of this load. So I think I would like to see a more slightly balanced attack on the ground, but it's a little bit hard to argue. I get it when he has the 6th most rush yards in the entire country. So he's getting it done. He's doing everything we could possibly ask for him. I just think you got to consider a little bit of that wear and tear. For right now, though, certainly a whole lot of something. Last one here. We talked about this Thursday night, also mentioned it yesterday. Defensive end Sebastian Harsh had his targeting appeal denied by the NCAA, so he will miss the first half of this Duke game on Saturday. Whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something.
Whole lot of something because he is one of the best and most versatile pieces on this defense. He can do a little bit of everything, and to not have a guy like him in the game early is going to hinder that ability to get off to a fast start.
For me, it's a whole lot of nothing because what is the ACC and the NCAA even good for anymore? This was a bogus call on Thursday night. I thought he found himself in a position where it's like, what do you really want the guy to do? He had to complete the tackle. He didn't launch with the crown of the helmet. In my opinion, I think there was maybe some incidental contact. There should be a better judgment call in situations like this one. And if you're going to review it and still get it wrong, what's the point of the review anyway? So I'm extremely disappointed by this. And to Kenton's point, it sucks because he's been one of our best defenders for all 3 of our first games. To miss him in the first half of what is now our most important game of the season up to this point on the road at Duke, that's tough. That's tough because we haven't really been able to replicate what he's given us as well. So certainly hate to see him sit for the first half. Hopefully, this is why starting fast comes into play again. If you have a lead and you have a fresh Sebastian Harsh coming into the game in the second half, that could be a massive boost. So we'll see how this plays out. Certainly sucks that he's going to miss the first half, but the NCAA, we know what that means. No clue at all. Coming up next, we're getting into our Locked On Look of the Week. Kenton will detail how we scored our first touchdown of the night and how Justin Jolie might be the key piece to this NC State offense. More on this after a quick word from our sponsors. Our second Tuesday sponsor is Gametime. College football is back, and we simply could not be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just simply nothing like it. But let's be real. Sometimes actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. There's endless queues, hidden fees, and prices jumping off at checkout. But that's why all football season long, you need to use Gametime. It's the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with 0 surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. You can pull up on Gametime, and in just a couple taps, you will see amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite college football games for as low as just $25. And the app, it will make it super simple. You can see the exact seat view from the app before you click purchase, a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets all season long with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, and again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDON. COLLEGE, Locked On College, for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. Last couple minutes of our Tuesday show. Now time for our Locked On Look of the Week, detailing how Justin Joly got in the end zone for the first time on Thursday night. Here we go.
So I had tweeted about Justin Joly's blocking at multiple points last night, or at multiple points on Thursday night, rather. And it's so pivotal because his blocking ability sets up a play like this. If he was a tight end that did not do any blocking, if he was the type of guy that refused to meaningfully get his nose dirty, get his hands dirty, and kind of get into guys, a play like this doesn't work. So this looks like a inside zone inside zone split look in terms of if you're looking at what the defense is seeing out of the line of scrimmage with a bootleg on this thing. You're rolling into the strong side and where the fake is, and then you're hitting either the receiver here on the spot route or Justin Joly to the flat. But Justin Joly to the flat is obviously your first read, and let me tell you why the first read works so well. So here's what we have going. On the offensive line, we have an inside zone look going with a split look coming off of the tight end that is off the ball, which is Justin Joly. So here's what you got. A bootleg by CJ Bailey, Hollywood Smothers coming in that gap between where the edge of Cody Hardy is and the inside of where Justin Joly will be, and of course the receiver taking a spot route here. Now here's what Wake Forest is doing to counter that. Everybody is going man, and they are pinching the front side defensive end. The importance to the front side DN being pinched is that number 5 has Joly man up and is responsible for setting the edge if there is a play to the outside, because again, 11 is pinching. He is coming inside or at least squeezing that tight end as tough as he can to the inside. Now, I want y'all to watch what happens, okay? The ball is snapped. Everybody's going. Justin Joly in this box on the screen below is in a position to where it looks like he's going to use his shoulder to dig that young man out and put him on his behind. Well, in the words of that one old guy in the Geico commercial with the fishing rod, got to be quicker than that. Justin Joly hits him with a little tight little arm over. Some people call it the swim move. He's taking it back to the high school days. And all of a sudden, Wake Forest has nobody there except for the player that plays for every team, Andy Air. He is the only person that is available to stop Joly. And look at this. The nearest guy to Justin Joly is 7 yards away, or the guy that's supposed to be checking him is 7 yards away. This is a prime example of two things. Number one, Justin Joly's blocking, setting this up, because you can see here, the defender is worried, I got to set this edge. I got to get outside. I got to stay outside, which allows Justin Joly to slip right underneath him. And then here, as you can clearly see, Justin Joly has catched the ball. This is a clear lesson in RTA, also known as well, you get the point. But the reality is this. This play, to me, is so vital because at this point, the Pack are down 14-0, right? We're down 14-0. It's 4th and 1. Imagine if this play doesn't work out, Grayson. Imagine what happens if we're down 14, have not got a stop yet, and they have the ball back on this one. But because Justin Joly is the type of guy that even when he's blocking, you feel like, oh, he can be a lead blocker. Now I have to address the threat of him potentially trying to block me. So now I'm overcompensating to get into where my gap would be, which allows him to just slide right up. And now look, I'm now we got a Life Alert commercial going on with number 5. Help, I've fallen and I can't get up. And Justin Joly, he's the planner in the group chat. He's the real nice guy in the group chat. He's got reservations for 6 at the Holy Joly Touchdown Shop, ladies and gentlemen. Say it with me, the Holy Joly Touchdown Shop. And there he is in the end zone collecting NC State's first points of the game.
I'm glad you said that they had to respect the threat of him both blocking and catching a pass here. I remember Justin Joly at ACC kickoff. He said that his blocking abilities is one of the biggest things he worked on in the offseason. A play like this is exactly why. When you prove yourself as a powerful blocker in the run game, the defense has to take note of that every single time that you might also go out for a pass. In this situation, you had Wake Forest in a blender. They fully sold out for the run. Justin Jolie says, not so fast, my friend. Wide the blank open in the end zone for an easy 6. The easiest touchdown he might catch the entire season. That is how dangerous Justin Jolie becomes, like truly forms himself into the best tight end in the country when the defense has no idea what you might do on any given play. Is he going to run block? Is he going to pass block? Is he going to go out for a pass? We have no idea. We're guessing at this point. Wake Forest was guessing at this point. And when you guess, it goes for 6. One of the most dynamic tight ends we've ever seen at NC State, and a play like this shows you exactly why. That will do it for us here on Tuesday. As always, thank you all so much for joining us. Be sure to hit that like button, drop your comments in the comment box, mash that subscribe button if you have not already. Give us your thoughts on NC State football starting fast in some of these games and how important it just might be on Saturday out in Durham. Give us your thoughts on Isaiah Shirley, on Hollywood Smothers. Anything else you have on your mind, drop that in the comment box as well. We'll see y'all tomorrow on Wednesday. We'll be detailing what Duke will bring to the table at this matchup on Saturday. Until then, we'll see y'all tomorrow. Go Pack.
Go Pack.